Good morning, students. It is Monday, and we only have a 2-day school week this week. I know you're excited about that because it is Thanksgiving break the rest of this week. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what we're going to be doing. A lot of this stuff is going to be in Google Classroom today. So first thing we're going to be doing is taking our Satchel Paige test, which was our story about the baseball player. You are welcome to look at these papers. I have put pictures of the test. There are 3 pages on my Google Classroom. Looks like this, has little circles to color in. There's 3 different pages. I took a picture of each one. What you're going to do is get you a piece of lined paper and then just put Satchel Paige test, your name and date over here, and then number your paper 1 to 17. There are 17 questions on your test, skip lines. And then when you pick your answer, so like here, this page is all about the vocabulary, so make sure you look at the vocabulary words too, which is the page before the story. So this right here, let's look at this first one on number 1. It says, her handwriting is unique, and the vocabulary word is unique, and it's underlined. And we have 4 options. Letter A is dainty, letter B is special, letter C is sloppy, and letter D is acceptable. So which one do you think is her handwriting is unique? And you should have picked letter B, special. So I just gave you an answer for your test. But anyway, on number 1, then you're just going to write letter B, okay? So you do not have to write the whole answer out. You just have to write the letter that matches on your test. I would look through the test paper first and read all the questions. Then I would go back and I would review the story that we read and then take my test and write the answers on here, okay? So that's that. Okay, now, I have tried to read this story like 3 times. I read it, well, actually more than that. I read it 3 times last week. I finally gave up. I read it 1 time today already. I've already tried to do this video once and it cut it off. So I'm going to wait until tomorrow maybe, or at the end of the video, so at least if I get all the rest of the stuff, I would like to read this to you. It's called The Goat in the Rug, and it is a true story about Geraldine and Glenn May at Window Rock, Arizona, about a Navajo weaver. So at the end, if I get done with that, I will be reading this, if you see me reading it at the end, to go with our little rug that we should have colored last week. So you need to finish all your unfinished work from the last 2 weeks. Get all that stuff put in your pocket so you know where it is. So let's go over some other things. So we finished our, last week we did the Navajo, and we're done with that. Today we're going to start on the Seminole. So get this paper out of your packet. Seminole. Okay. So we're going to read this together. So follow along with your Seminole packet. And it says, the Seminole people were once part of the Creek tribe. That's why you'll hear me sometimes I say the Seminole Creek. When I taught school at Wewoka, my very first teaching job, I taught Seminole Creek Native Americans, kindergarten through 5th grade. It was a pull-out program. They came to me an hour a day. We did computer things. I taught them lots of different writing and reading, art, things like that. So I have taught the Seminole Creek Native Americans, and that was my very first job as a school teacher, and I did that for 3 years, and it was very fun, and I thoroughly enjoyed them as students. Okay, so it says, the Seminole people were once part of the Creek tribe. When European settlers arrived, some of the Creek people stayed behind. Other Creek people decided to move to Florida. The Creek that settled in Florida became known as the Seminole. Seminole is a word that means wanderer or runaway. So that's your Seminoles. All right, turn the page. So they were part of the Creek tribe, and when they moved to Florida, then they became the Seminole, okay? The Seminole wore colorful cotton clothing, and that's because they live where it's hot. Florida is hot, so you don't want to wear wool there. Women wore long-sleeve blouses and skirts that touched the floor. They also wore many beaded necklaces. Sometimes the necklaces reached from a woman's neck to her ears. Seminole men wore colorful shirts. They wore turbans, leggings, and breechcloths. When the weather was cold, men wore ruffled coats called long shirts. The Seminole planted corn, beans, and squash. That's known as the 3 Sisters. Corn was cooked to make a favorite food called hominy. The Seminole also fished and caught alligators in Florida swamps. They hunted deer, bear, raccoons, squirrels, and birds. Each family had its own vegetable garden. People also worked in a village garden. Everyone planted and harvested together. So they were more planters and harvesters than the Plains Indians, which would be the Sioux tribe that hunted the buffalo. So these tribes did not migrate and follow an animal herd. They stayed in one place and they grew crops. The three sisters, corn, beans, and squash. Okay, there's a picture of an alligator on there. There's some hominy up here. Okay. Seminole people who lived in drier parts of Florida built their homes directly on the ground. The Seminole who lived in the swamps built built wooden huts called chickees. A chickee was built on a platform 3 feet off the wet, muddy ground. A chickee had a roof made from palmetto leaves. A chickee had no walls. That's because it's hot in Florida, so they didn't need walls like we do here. And so when they lived in the swamp, it was very humid, and that gave them a breeze to blow through there, not be so hot. Seminole families could sit inside their chickees and feel the cool breezes. At night, each person slept in a hammock inside the chickee. Cool. Seminole women took care of children, cooked, sewed, and worked in a garden. Seminole men hunted, fished, and farmed. Each summer, the Seminole prepared for an important festival called the Green Corn Dance. People from many villages gathered, they danced, played games, and ate food. And they celebrated. Sometimes Seminole boys would receive new names. While the men and boys met at the council house, the women got ready for the feast. So they did the green corn dance. They also did the snake dance. Most of the tribes had many dances that they did at different ceremonies. So now we're on the back. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so that's your little story about the Seminole. So what we're going to do today is we're going to color our pictures for the Seminole, you know, where we color the little squares and we color the little flappy thing, whatever you want to call it, the label. I can't find mine right now. Okay. Anyway, color that paper that's got the Seminole on it like these right here. These things. Color your label that says the Seminole. And we're going to be coloring that just in colorful things because theirs is all colorful. And we'll see some real pictures of that tomorrow and how that looked. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is go over our words. I'm going to take you down off this thing in just a minute. But our words that go with the Seminole Dictionary. And that's why she is, that's why this is, see that? That's why I know these Seminole words is because I worked with Seminole Creek Indians. And the ladies I told you before, they helped me make this little dictionary up on how to say these words because they know how to read them like this right there. I certainly wouldn't know how to read that, but they knew how to read that and spell it, and then they would tell me how to pronounce it, and that's why we have the little quotation marks with how to say the word, okay? So let me take you down off of here. Okay, let's flip this. Okay, so let's go over our words here together. Okay, so we have Kazapi means cold, Chito means snake, Lani means green, Uji means corn, Owa means water, Ifa means dog, Futho means fish, Hasi means sun, Hathisi means moon, Miski means summer, Figi means heart, Faswa means bird, Penwa means turkey, Gudi means frog, Oba means owl, Ido means tree, Jada means blood, Jadi means red, Jussi means pumpkin, Jabaki means mad or angry, Sakba means arm, Ahuchka means plant, Waga means cow, Igana means earth, and Espani means Hispanic. Okay? All right, so that's your Seminole. You already know some Seminole words for this tribe. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to look at our notebook where we are going to put we're going to be taking our notes. Let me flip this around. Okay, so we did, like last week we did the Navajo. There's a blank page here. Just leave it blank and flip to your new pages. Tomorrow this will all be filled with notes and your 3 pictures will go here. And we'll look, I'll take a picture of that. But today we're going to use the page. So let me show you because you guys, so this side is Seminole notes. This side is next to it. These are the little cards. This is in your purple pocket. How to make hominy. Okay. So there's what it looks like. There is a picture of that on your Google Classroom so that you can see how to glue that in order. And that is an actual recipe for how we're going to make hominy. So I'm going to start today and we are going to go ahead and do that. So if you have stuff and if you don't, you just need it by this evening because it needs to set overnight. So we're going to actually make some hominy and let me get that back out for you. Oh, sorry. Okay, one more time. Okay, there we go. Okay, so anyway, we're going to use this recipe and we're going to make hominy. Okay, I'm just going to be honest with you. I've never eaten hominy. I've never made hominy. I don't know anything about hominy except it is made from corn. I'm not a big corn eater because corn doesn't like me very much in my stomach, okay? But I want to make this. I thought it would be fun, and I want to do it with you. So if you want to do it at home, here's what you're going to need. Let me flip this around. Going to need you some popcorn, this kind. Not microwave popcorn, real popcorn. It doesn't have to be this brand. It just needs to be real corn. Some baking soda, some water, which they said it's better if it's warm, but I'm at school. And then you need some measuring spoons and a measuring cup, okay? And what they say to do is, they say to put it in a pot, so you let it rest in the pot overnight, and the next day you cook it on the stove. So I'm gonna have to do my video at home tomorrow because I gotta have a stove. But I just brought mine to school today so that, ooh, can you see our tree? Look at that. Harry Potter. Okay, anyway, sorry, got sidetracked. I'm going to use a bowl to put mine in, but when I get home, I'm going to dump it in a pot so I can cook it on the stove. Okay, so let me sit down here. All right, so first thing we're going to do, it says that we need a half a cup of dried popcorn. So I've got my little measuring cup here. See? Okay, so I'm going to get me a half a cup here of that. I'm just going to pour it in. Oh, I need to flip this around, sorry. Okay, so let's pour it in here, which mine's, okay. And I've got only 1/3 of a cup. That was what I had at school, so I got to do a little bit more. So I'll just dump a little bit more in there. Ding, ding, okay? So if you got a cup, measuring cup, and it's a half a cup, okay? So there we go. This would be in a cooking pot that you could put on the stove at your house. I'm putting mine in a bowl, okay? Then it says we need 3/4 of a teaspoon. Okay, now teaspoons and tablespoons are different. So let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so we've got teaspoons. That's 1/4 of a teaspoon. That's 1 teaspoon. And then this big one would be a tablespoon, okay? So it says 3/4 of a teaspoon. So 3/4. There is my 1/4, see it? So how many of those do I need to have 3/4? Well, it's 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 equals 3/4. There's your fraction lesson for today. So I've got my baking soda here. All right, so I'm going to get inside here. Ugh. Baking soda doesn't smell very good. Okay, I take it out. It's hard to do this with one hand. Okay, so there's 1/4. And then get me another one. There's 2/4. Then there's, oops, sorry, I didn't get a good scooper that time. I'm going to break that off. There we go. There's 3/4. So I did 1/4 3 times. That's 3/4. Okay, and then I'm just going to kind of zhuzh it around here. Okay, then it says 1 cup of water. Well, I have 1/3 of a cup. How many 1/3 of a cups would it take to equal 1 whole cup? Well, you have to have 3/3. So that would be 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3. So I'm going to do 3 of these. Okay, and I wanted to show you that today, kind of a little bit of fractions, how you can use fractions for measuring. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is, oops. Oops, sorry. I'm going to set you right here just for a second. Okay, so we got to have 3 of these now that the lid's off. Okay, so there's 1. So here, let's flip this. There's 1. And then there's 2/3. Oop, little water on the table. And then there's 3/3. And that would equal 1 cup. Okay, so all that's in there, and then kind of stir that around. Okay, there you go.